I think the medical industry has been so regulated by profits. That's all it's cared about. They don't care about helping or curing people. It's more treating people.
Today we have Michael Londo. He's got a lot of really, really great lessons that he's learned along his journey.
We manufacture red light therapy beds.
NASA developed red light therapy and they used it on the astronauts. As per FDA, red light therapy is considered a class 2 medical device. Red light therapy is exempt from requiring a clearance. 98% of the companies are misleading their clients on what their output is in red light therapy.
Give me one health habit that you swear by. Today's guest is Michael Londo, a lifelong tinkerer and the founder of Body Balance System. From building model airplanes in his youth to creating advanced wellness technology, Michael has always believed if you can dream it, you can build it. In this episode, we explore how his passion for hands-on innovation led him to develop state-of-the-art red light therapy solutions while navigating the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and family life. Enjoy this conversation with a visionary behind Body Balance System, Michael Londo. Today, I have the honor of hanging out with an amazing human being. This is what we do in this podcast. We go and find amazing human beings in Las Vegas that are doing great stuff. So I'm introducing today my good friend, and we work for him too in certain capacities, Michael Londo.
Thank you.
People will know you through what we're going to be talking about in this podcast. But the first thing that I want to know is, were you always a tinkering kid when you were little? The kid that was tinkering around shit?
I used to build car models or airplane models and then catch them on fire and crash them and do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Let's go back to that because I don't know if you became an engineer or what your background is, but the reason why I'm saying is that there's the spirit in this company. As I walk around it, there's that tinkering spirit. There's always that, even in your little notes over there. How did you get started in this whole journey of building things? And then we'll come in to talk about Body Balance System. And
really, I don't know. It kind of ran in my dad's side of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, my mom's side, my grandfather on my mom's side was very creative and building things. My dad's side, especially, everybody just kind of built things and created things and whatever. So I guess it kind of stuck with me. And yeah, that's what excites me in the morning, is getting up and coming to work and working out back, not in my office.
I can see that. You're a person that likes not very much more. You would like better to build than
exactly.
Imagine you like people, but there's other people that are just dedicated to that, sales and all that. So then when tell me about, did you go to school? Did you get an engineering degree? How was that path for you?
I originally wanted to be an architect.
Okay.
And probably, I don't remember exactly, but 7th, 8th grade, I started drawing house plans for people. And for my age and back then, I made some pretty good money doing it.
Without studying architecture, just.
Well, I grew up, my dad was in the construction business.
Okay.
And I kind of very early in life, probably around 5th, 6th grade, I started getting in drawing classes and drafting and all that kind of stuff. And then one day my dad asked me to draw the plans for a house that he was going to build. I'm like, sure, I'll do it. So I drew the plans and it took a while, learning the ins and outs of doing it. But, so I drew plans and designed a lot of stuff all the way through high school. And then it came time to go to college and I didn't get to go.
You didn't go to college at that?
No, my dad said he would always pay for it. And when it got right down to it, he backed out. Wanted me to do a couple years of community college. And in the meantime, I started painting houses. while I was in college. And that kind of morphed into building decks and then light remodels and eventually just full-blown construction. So about 3 years after college, it got to a point that my construction business was just too big. I didn't have time for college anymore and just did that full time.
That's amazing. So it's just like, I heard that Elon Musk, the way he started SpaceX is he went and bought 20 books about rockets and space, and that's the start. So that is a big lesson as to how the human spirit, or if you want to do something, there's no need for formal schooling. You were probably teaching your teachers on community college. So that's you just went and did it, right?
Yeah, I've always had the attitude, right or wrong, that if I can think it, I can do it. If I can think, oh, I'd like to build that, yeah, I can do that. It's never comes across me, I can't do that. Cool. You know, granted, I don't always get it right the first time or the second time or the third time, but you know, I think going in and doing that, you learn a lot as you go. You learn, you know, maybe you might learn something 1 year and 10 years later, like, hey, I know how to do that because I did that 10 years ago. And it just kind of, all of that knowledge grows and, you know, areas you get stuck, you find somebody out there that can help you figure it out.
Was there any particular mentor that you can point out to in those early years?
Probably my grandfather.
No way.
So my grandfather was an amazing guy. Always building something. Before he passed away, he built a full-size replica of Napoleon's carriage. It took him 3.5 years. There's a picture of it right there on the wall.
Wow. We'll put it in the footage.
So, you know, he built a few airplanes and rebuilt a few airplanes and cars and crazy car things. And so, yeah, it was always...
Your grandpa was your mentor.
Yeah. But like I said, it kind of ran in the family. I mean, my uncle on my dad's side was a jeweler. You know, my dad, you know, was in construction and he built a number of airplanes. Yeah, it was just kind of so I guess, you know, I just grew up learning it. If you needed something, build it. Just build it.
Yeah, man. There's some people that just have that talent. And we need so many more, right? Mm-hmm. We need so many more. So what happened after that? You went into construction. Did that become a big company?
I ran the construction company. In 1990, my daughter was born, and she was born without the instinct to breathe.
Okay.
Was that a fairly important thing to not be born with? So she spent her first 6 months in the hospital. And when she finally came home, we basically had an ICU at home and 24-hour nursing. And that was just life. So having her mom and I both felt strongly that we wanted to give her as normal of a life as we could. And that meant taking her out of the house as much as we could. But to take her out of the house, it meant her and 125 pounds of equipment. You know, there was her ventilator, the battery for the ventilator, portable oxygen, suction, emergency bag, you know, just all sorts of stuff. And so I would buy twin strollers to move all that stuff around. And they would only last anywhere from like 1 to 3 months. And I got fed up with buying these things. So I just designed and built my own like jogging stroller with no rear axle. And there was storage down underneath the seat. And we could get everything down under there. So taking that to doctors in the hospital and all of that, people are always, oh my gosh, you need to build those and sell those. Always kind of was in the back of my head. And then by the time she was 5.5, she had had pneumonia 21 times. And her doctors, we lived in Seattle at the time, and her doctors were like, you have to get her out of here. She won't survive here. So her mom and I both had our own businesses that were not really businesses that we could just pick up and move. We were fortunate enough that about a year before we ended up having to move, we had settled a lawsuit with a medical insurance company, and that money went into trust for her for medical expenses. Fast forward, when we had to move, we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to move and survive and financially, and we were still, I guess, early 30s.
Were you still running the construction company?
I was.
But you had to leave it, so...
Yeah. So fortunately, one day the trustee for her trust called me for a random question, and I'd known him very well. We always kind of had a great relationship and joked and stuff. And when he called me, you could kind of sense I was stressed. And I told him, we're just told by the doctors we have to get her out of this state. We don't know what to do. We're trying to figure it out because, we both have our own businesses, and they're not a business we can just pick up and move and survive on right away. And he was like, oh, let me think about this and I'll call you back. He called me back a few days later, and he's like, it was as crazy of an idea as this sounds. He goes, why don't we let the trust pay you to take care of her? It will reduce what we're having to pay for their nursing agency to take care of her. And then, then maybe we still get a night nurse. So we were fortunate enough that, helped us fund getting moved and transitioned. So once we moved to Orlando. And once we did that, then I started this business building the carts.
The carts that...
Carts for moving her and her equipment and stuff. And I designed them so they would work for kids that needed to be positioned, and held up in a seat and all of that. And I was just getting to launch, starting to get a lot of great exposure. I had a friend who had a friend of his come in that was kind of going to start helping with sales and stuff. But then unfortunately, her mom met somebody at church and, went in a different direction. So we got divorced. During the divorce, my attorney told me, just close the business. It's not worth anything at the moment. That way we're not fighting about it. And so that's what I did. Then probably about a year or two after that, that friend that was going to help me with the sales called me up, and he had cancer and he was battling it naturally. And he's like, hey, you need to look at this product I'm using and make these things. You like making stuff and designing and developing. They're too expensive, but they're an amazing product for people. And it was an ionic detox foot bath. So he brought it over, let me look at it for a while. And it took me a few months because I'd never done anything electronic. Took me a few months, but I had a working prototype. And
so I'm curious, how was he using this for his disease? We'll come back to the story, but I'd like to go on that. How was it being used for?
Detox systems helps get all the toxins out of your body. So, he was eating an ultra pure, clean diet, no sugar, no, just vegetables and just, I don't know exactly all he's doing, but he was that, and he was using the detox system, and I'm not sure everything else he was doing, but he cured himself.
No way.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to know. So it happened.
So, but that was the launch of this company, was that product. So I developed that in 2004, started selling it in probably Q1 of 2005. I wasn't taking it too serious until...
How did you start developing? He said he showed you his.
He showed me his, and I just kind of reverse engineered it.
You reversed and improved on it? Or is it that simple thing that is just, it does what it does?
Yeah, it just kind of does what it does. Okay. But yeah, no, I definitely had my vision on it and some improvements on it. And yeah, so I launched the company. 2005, I was just selling them on eBay and doing pretty well with it. And then probably about Q4, I thought, well, maybe there's a business with this, and I'll build a website. So I built my own website. It probably has to have been one of the crudest websites on the internet ever. but
Early
It
2000s.
started working, late '05, and then '06, the company just literally exploded. And it was just everything I could do was to keep production up.
And that started in Orlando.
And that was in Orlando. And then just throughout the years, it was just, in up and down times, in the economy and stuff, our customers liked us and they believed in the company and liked our customer service. So I quickly learned that if I develop new products, my customers will buy them. And that helped keep us going during slow times and bad economies and all of that.
What new products, or what were the others?
Just the new products, correct.
Just same Myonics food baths, or?
Yeah, we had the foot bath, and then we came out with different versions of the foot bath, and then we came out with vibroacoustic equipment and just vibrating chairs, massage chairs, and just different things throughout the years.
Okay.
And then around 2016, I believe, is when we got into red light therapy.
Wow. So you're known for this. This is like your big baby. Tell me what you discovered about red light and why you went so deep into that realm.
Right or wrong, I'm just the kind of person that I like to have a good product, and I like to have a product that does what I tell my clients it does.
Okay.
That's very important to me. So I've put a lot of research into red light and how it works and what it does. And unfortunately, right now in the red light industry, probably 95% of the industry is really selling garbage. It's mostly just people that are jumping on the bandwagon to make a quick buck. They're buying their products from out of China. As per FDA, red light therapy is considered a class 2 medical device. You're supposed to be FDA registered. Red light therapy is exempt from requiring a clearance. But you can do it if you want, which we're about ready to submit our application for that. We have been through hundreds of thousands of dollars in independent testing to get our bed tested, to receive our NTRL certification, which is like a UL. We have passed all of our testing. We're just waiting for the sanctioning company to issue our certificate for that. There is probably less than a handful of companies that actually have that in red light therapy. The importance of all of that and being FDA is the regulations and compliance that we have to follow. So our bed has been tested for radiation output, EMF outputs, electrical safety, is what we say our bed as far as the light intensity, what we advertise, is that what it really putting out. That is probably one of the biggest things in red light therapy right now that we've found is, again, probably 98% of the companies are misleading their clients on what their output is.
Well, let's go back a little bit. So you said 2016. How did you discover red light? What did you have an experience? Was it something that a friend, like you said, with a cancer did? What?
Actually, I had a client
Okay.
that she was placing an order for some water modules for her detox system.
Yes.
And said, "Have you heard about red light therapy?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't." She was kind of telling me about it. So I went in, I started doing research on it and developed my own system. And it was probably as crude could be, but it worked.
Okay.
And sold a few, and people were like, "Wow, this works great." And just kind of a natural progression. So we started with pad systems, which would wrap around your body. We did those for a few years, but the problem with a pad system is you have an electronic device that you're wrapping around a body and laying on it all day long, and it's just reliability was an issue.
Okay.
So, we kind of moved into building beds. So we're on technically probably about our 5th generation bed. the first generation was a completely different look, and the last ones have all the basic same look.
Okay.
But with red light therapy, one thing with it is you need the source of the light as close as possible to the body. That's ultra important.
Why is that?
Because red light dissipates incredibly fast. It comes out of the LED diode, and no matter what any company tells you, I've heard stories they have medical grade diodes, or they have special clear plastic that was developed by NASA that they're the only ones allowed to use it. All of these crazy things. It doesn't matter what anybody says. The only thing that's important is what the measurement on top of the clear plastic between the body and the diodes, what that reading is. What we have found is all of our competitor, well, there's two that don't, but all the other competitors, again, probably 98, 99% of the competitors, they're measuring on top of a bare diode, and you can get a very high reading that way.
Oh,
And that's what they're marketing.
but you cannot sell something with a bare diode. You gotta, like you said,
Correct. So, and that's actually in our last FDA site inspection, I brought up with our FDA inspector. I told him about, how competitors are measured versus how we do it. And he's like, yeah, that's not right. You're doing it the right way. He goes, that is something that we are starting to crack down on. What we market versus what we say we actually are. So, and what we have found is competitors are marketing that they're like 100, 125, all the way up as high as 150 milliwatts centimeter squared, which is the measurement of the light intensity. When we have taken our meter out and found different beds around town and go out and, be a customer and go into the room and actually measure them, we're actually getting readings of in the single digits to the low teens. We have actually found one bed that had a reading of 21, but most beds were like 15 and under. And ours, we market that we are 59, and our bed measures minimum at that. So we actually have a large contract that we've recently were told we were going to get, and where this company actually went out and bought pretty much all of the big name red light therapy beds themselves and bought their own testing equipment to do their own tests because they didn't believe what they were being told by anybody. And the owner of the company and his CEO called me one day. They had a quick question about how to test. But they told me that hands down, there was nobody that was even remotely close to our bed.
So just to make it simple for public, what would that be like from a 1 to 10 scale? Your bed is a 10 and the rest are.
Obviously every owner of a business is going to tell you they have the best product, but we always will say that, but we will prove it.
You can measure it. Yeah.
We can prove
It's
it.
measurable.
The meter that you measure with, they're not adjustable. It reads what it reads.
Okay.
But I forgot your question. Sorry.
So how would you know, like what you're saying that your bed is at a certain level? Just to make it simple for the public, like if it's a 1 to 10 scale, what is the closest?
I'm going to put our bed at a 10.
Right.
I would say competitor wise, there's probably between a 1 and a 1.5.
Okay. So you're 5 multiples ahead.
There's some, nice product out there, but the problem is their design. Our bed is, as far as I'm concerned, the only bed that was designed to be a red light therapy bed. Everybody else is using the clamshell or tanning bed design, which was great for tanning, but terrible for red light.
Wow.
Red light comes out of the LED diode at 120 degree beam angle, about like that. So if you think of, if you've ever used a pressure washer, if you have something really stubborn, you got to get that tip right down on it because that's where the water is the strongest. Red light is the same thing. When it's leaving the LED diode, that's where it's the strongest. and then it dissipates incredibly fast. In fact, within 1 inch, you can lose about 80% of the strength of the light. And pretty much all of the competitor systems on the market are 1 to 2 inches away on the bottom and anywhere from 2 to 12 inches away on their upper canopy. So, when you move a meter 6 inches away, you'll be down in, even like our bed, where our bed measures, 59, 60 on the clear. 6 inches away, we're, in the single digits. So that is why our bed was designed. So when the canopy comes down, it's actually resting on the body, and there's side panels that are on the sides of the body.
Got it. So is it more than an inch, or is it like trying to separate it as little as possible?
Correct. So we're trying to get that light source as close as possible to the bed, or to the body. Sorry. Another thing is our beds have the densest amount of red light as any bed on the market. A lot of the beds on the market, they'll be using red and IR, but their rows will be inches apart. A lot of the units that are coming out of China, they use strip lights, which are cheap, basic lights. You can buy strip lights from Amazon. And their rows will be like 6 inch apart. Our beds our current Ovation ULT is 3/8 of an inch on center, all the diodes, and our new Premier RLT bed, they are 1/4 of an inch on center. So incredibly dense. So you get better coverage of the body.
Okay. So as an owner of a red light therapy company, what are the biggest benefits you've seen of the product? Not just, I get the technicals, but for you, give me some stories of what you've seen as major benefits.
Gosh, I lots and lots of stories. It's probably one of the things that's rewarding is obviously it's nice to make a living and pay your employees and all of that, and enjoy life a little bit. But for me, I think probably the biggest reward is just knowing that, I've been helping people. I'm helping people have better lives and help with, different things that they have going on. But I've had lots of things. I can't technically talk about weight loss.
It's okay. And we're in a conversation.
Yeah. So we've had lots of weight loss. We've had lots of things, people with mobility, muscle relief, pain relief. Red light is an amazing product. It helps with a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of things that it helps with we can't talk about because of FDA regulations. But NASA developed red light therapy and they used it on the astronauts.
How long ago? How long is the technology? Like you said, 2016, but probably they used it on the astronauts. But
I'm not sure when they actually started doing that. That I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay.
I've never looked that up. I just know that they developed it and used it on astronauts.
Well, okay. I see some of the things you're telling me in the next question, which is building a brand in the wellness space comes with its challenges. What were some of the biggest hurdles you faced and how did you overcome them?
With the company?
With this from this?
Probably I don't know, whenever all the banks crashed, when it was that 09, 10, somewhere around in there, that was a tough time. Our sales dropped by probably 70% at their lowest. Then we got into the red light. Post-COVID shutdowns and stuff was incredibly tough because electronics were very hard to get. Touch screens, we used touch screens in all of our stuff at that time. We had to re-engineer and get away from those because we couldn't get them. We used what's called an IC chip on all of our circuit boards. Those went from about 87 cents a piece to $28 a piece. And we used 190 of them per unit. So we had to, again, re-engineer to eliminate those. So those have been that was probably our single biggest hurdle, was just recovering from COVID.
Wow. So as a founder, how would you describe your leadership philosophy for your company? And how do you ensure your team stays aligned?
I'm actually probably not the best leader in the business owner world, but I don't know. It's important to me to kind of try and have a good environment for employees. And, I don't feel I'm better than anybody else on the planet. I do what I do, and I have a great group of people that work with me and, help the business thrive. So, I try to keep an environment and a good relationship with the employees. We're all equal here. Yeah, I'm the company owner and I call the shots, but I'm no better than you. And because of that, I've had a lot of great employees with me for a long time.
Okay. Your daughter works with you.
Correct.
I know her. I did not know the story that you just shared earlier. How is she doing now?
She's doing great.
Right.
So she's doing great. So when she was born, there was about 300 reported cases in the world. And then when she hit puberty, she spontaneously started breathing on her own while she's awake only. So, which kind of gave her that freedom of not needing any form of ventilation during the day. So she still sleeps on a ventilator at night, but yeah, no, she's doing great.
Good. And you said she's an equal here. She is your is she your right hand? Is just
She's our marketing director.
She's a marketing director here. Yeah, that's amazing. That's just amazing. So, what's one piece of advice that you would offer someone looking to innovate in the health and wellness space?
To get into what?
To looking to innovate in the health and wellness space.
To get into the health and wellness space? Wow. As a manufacturer?
Yeah, or as a, I met the other day, I talked to Craig Goldberg, and he is in Vibroacoustics. I showed him earlier to you. He's also an amazing human being, visionary. I do see one thing in common, that it's the people that are in this industry, my experience, you, him, they really care.
There are definitely people that I've seen in this industry, health and wellness, that are in it to help people. And then there's the people that are in it to make a buck. And that's their only concern, is to make a quick buck and move on to something else. And it's sad, as I said earlier, this red light therapy is very unregulated. Fortunately, it's starting to get cracked down on because of all of the BS that's been happening in it. But which I welcome the regulation. But
because you're ready for it.
Getting into, say you have a product idea, you want to develop a product, just it takes a lot of time and development and research and prototyping and but just try to have a better mousetrap out there in the world.
Cool. Where do you see red light therapy evolving in the next 5 to 10 years?
I still feel that it's pretty early in its lifespan. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think we're kind of really starting right here, and it's going to go up here. It's just kind of one of those things that it helps with a lot of different things.
Right. When do you think they're going to be able to speak of it in a better light, or we're going to have the freedom to speak of all these benefits that we just touch on very, very cursorily because of all the regulation and all that. Do you think that's ever going to change?
I hope so. Hopefully, maybe with this new administration that is now in office and what they're trying to do with FDA, it would be nice if, products like this, which can help a lot of people and a lot of things, it could be help if, some of the limitations were lifted, they made it easier for us to market some of the things that it can really help with. I think the medical industry has been so regulated by profits, and that's all it's cared about. They don't care about helping or curing people. It's more treating people. There's just a lot of medications and stuff out there that will help you if you have something, or not have the symptoms of it or not spread it or anything like that. But why can't they make something to cure it? Because they don't make money curing anything. So hopefully, like I said, the new administration's going to hopefully change that around a little bit.
Hopefully so. Let's hope RFK comes in and shakes things up a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Let's do a little bit of rapid fire. Favorite wellness innovation of all time?
Favorite wellness innovation of all time? I'd have to say red light therapy, ironically.
Makes sense. Give me one health habit that you swear by.
Staying active.
Okay. What do you do to stay active?
Pardon me?
What do you do to stay active?
I don't know if you watch me around the office. I run up my stairs an average of 16 times a day.
It's cool.
I walk incredibly fast. Just always moving. I have a personal trainer I work out with 3 days a week, work out a couple days besides that. I also into racing cars, so I have to stay fit for that, but that's kind of my relief from the world, being in a race car. All the pressures of life go away.
That is crazy because racing is, I would say it would be very stressful, but how can it be something that, I guess you just channel all your energy into it, right? When it makes you be in the moment.
It is. You have to be in the moment. In fact, I'm a member at a private track in Pahrump.
Okay.
And early last year, I was going through a divorce, and there was one day I went out to the track just to get away and de-stress, but I was on track thinking about issues with what was happening in a divorce. And I drove for about 10 minutes. I pulled off the track and went home because you can't have an interruption in anything when you're on a track. So that's why for me, it's just being in a race car. It's me, the car, and the track. And that's all you're thinking about. And that's why I said everything else in the world goes away.
It makes you present. There's experiences like that I've had. Like, I had friends that were very addicted to rock climbing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it once and I understood because you're generating so much of your own adrenaline, cortisol. You create this cocktail of internal drugs that makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And apart from that, you're like completely present. So
yes,
I can see why something like racing or rock climbing or anything like that can be addictive. Tell me more, like, can I pick this up?
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that this is your, the car that you're racing lately?
That's not the car, but yeah, I race a car basically.
Basically,
like that.
this is it a league? Is it like a type, like I know F1 is a type of league? What is the league that you?
This year for 25, I'll be racing in a Porsche Sprint Challenge West Series.
Okay.
So there are 6 race weekends and 2 races per weekend.
Okay.
So we race in Pahrump, ironically, is the first race, then Sonoma, Utah, Monterey, California, Austin, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia.
And this is all for the love of art. Are you sponsored? Is there?
Yes, I'm working on one major sponsorship deal. Sure, it's always better to race on OPM, as it's called, other people's money.
Correct. Yeah. I bet it's a very expensive hobby.
Yes. There's been many times I wish I just liked football and I could buy a nice big screen TV and a case of beer on the weekends and life is good. But
Or rock climbing.
or fortunately, that doesn't work for me. I like that adrenaline rush.
Very cool. That is very cool. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's keep on with the rapid fire. A business leader or innovator you admire?
I don't know. I guess in a weird way, probably Jeff Bezos from what he started, as a business leader. He took a business selling books and turned it into what it is now. And it's pretty phenomenal. It's pretty impressive.
It is. It is.
So
That's cool. Okay. One word to describe your leadership style.
I have no idea.
I say I'd give you. I'll give you one. Laid back.
Laid back would be one, I guess. Yes, definitely.
Cool.
I was going to say creative. I definitely promote people being creative.
Definitely.
There's a lot of things on our red light therapy beds that my guys have come up with ideas and changed, and they're great ideas. So,
Thank you. And then last rapid fire is what's next for Body Balance Systems?
growth.
Okay. Get on that hockey
Yes.
stick.
So we've been stuck at a sales level for a few years. 24 actually finished. We finally broke out of it a ways. But this year we have a very aggressive goal for ourselves.
Very good.
And so far it's still early, but so far we're on track.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing all this.
You're welcome.
How can our listeners learn more about body balance systems or connect with you?
Bodybalancesystem.com, or they could email me at mlondo@bodybalancesystem.com.
Perfect. Any socials?
We have on Facebook, we're Body Balance System LV,
Very good.
and Instagram is
Body balance systems online, I think.
Body Balance System Online.
Yeah. So okay, so look us up. Look them. Yeah, we'll put all the links in the bio and all that. Michael, thank you so much for sharing your journey today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.